You feel that deep, quiet ache in your chest every evening, the realization that another day has passed where you did nothing to change your life. You have the vision and the dreams, yet you find yourself paralyzed, unable to take the first step. You aren't lazy and you aren't broken. You are simply operating on an empty tank because you have been tricked into spending your most valuable currency on a lie. Welcome to the first day of your reclamation. My name is your mentor, and I have seen this story play out 1,000 times in the offices of young men who should be titans but act like ghosts. We live in an era designed to keep you weak. Every advertisement, every social media feed, and every digital corner is engineered to hijack your biological hardwiring. Your brain was never designed to process the sheer volume of sexualized imagery it encounters in a single afternoon. When you allow your mind to be flooded with these artificial stimulants, you aren't just looking at a screen. You are leaking your creative power. You are draining the very battery that was meant to power your business, your fitness, and your legacy. Think about the last time you felt truly motivated. That surge of energy that makes you want to wake up at 4 in the morning and conquer the world. That isn't a random occurrence. That is your natural state. The reason you don't feel it right now is that you have created a leak. Imagine a high-performance engine. It is capable of incredible speed and power, but if there is a tiny hole in the fuel line, it doesn't matter how expensive the car is, it will eventually sputter and die on the side of the road. Your constant consumption of sexualized content is that hole. It is the silent killer of the millionaire mindset. I want you to stop and look at your hands for a moment. These are the tools you have to build your empire. But look at where they spend most of their time. Are they building, or are they searching for a temporary hit of dopamine that leaves you feeling hollow 10 minutes later? I remember a young man I mentored 3 years ago named Julian. He was brilliant. He understood market trends better than most veterans, yet he couldn't close a deal to save his life. He was jittery, lacked eye contact, and his energy was constantly off. He didn't have a business problem. He had a consumption problem. He was spending 3 hours a night in a digital world that told him he didn't need to strive because he was getting the reward without the work. The brain cannot distinguish between the digital ghost and the real achievement. When you give your brain the win of a sexual release through a screen, your biology thinks you have already succeeded. It thinks you have fulfilled your primary biological purpose. Why would it give you the motivation to go out and work 12 hours a day if it thinks the job is done? This is why you feel that heavy, lethargic cloud over your brain. It is the biological tax of a shortcut. You are trading your future kingdom for a momentary flicker of light. In this book, we are going to close the leak. We aren't just talking about discipline. We are talking about neurochemical restructuring. We are going to return you to your natural baseline. When your brain is desexualized, your motivation becomes automatic. You won't need to watch motivational videos. You won't need to force yourself to the gym. Your body will naturally seek out challenges because it has an excess of energy that needs to be spent. It is like being a predator in a world of prey. Most of your competition is asleep, drugged by the very pixels you are about to walk away from. Ask yourself, what would your bank account look like if every ounce of energy you spent on sexualized distractions was instead funneled into your craft? If every hour of scrolling was an hour of sales calls? If every thought of a digital fantasy was replaced by a strategy for market dominance? The gap between where you are and where you want to be is exactly the size of your current distractions. I am here to guide you back to the throne, but I need you to understand that this is not a game of willpower. It is a game of biology. We are going to treat your mind like the multi-million-dollar asset it is. You wouldn't put cheap diluted fuel in a Ferrari, so why are you putting cheap diluted thoughts into your consciousness? This hypersexualization has effectively neutered a whole generation of leaders. It has taken the fire that used to build railroads and launch rockets and redirected it into a glowing rectangle. It makes you passive. It makes you a consumer rather than a creator. It makes you a spectator of life rather than the protagonist of your own story. When you look at a successful man, you aren't just looking at his money. You are looking at his focus. You are looking at a man who has refused to be a slave to his base instincts. He has harnessed that raw, primal energy and used it as a propellant for his ambitions.
Does it bother you that your most primal and powerful energy is being generated to revenue for a tech company instead of building your own empire? You are the product in this equation. You are being farmed for your attention and your biological essence. To break free, you have to understand the difference between cheap dopamine and quality dopamine. Quality dopamine comes from the climb. It comes from the struggle and the eventual triumph. It builds a brain that is resilient and focused. Cheap dopamine is like sugar for the mind. It gives you a quick spike, followed by a devastating crash. When you live in a cycle of cheap dopamine, your prefrontal cortex, which is the part of your brain responsible for long-term planning and willpower, begins to shrink in influence. You become a creature of impulse. You become easy to manipulate. My goal as your mentor is to help you rebuild that prefrontal cortex into a fortress. I want you to look at a challenge and feel a surge of excitement rather than a desire to hide. But this requires a period of neurological fasting. You have to allow the noise to die down so that you can hear your own ambition again. Imagine you are standing at the base of a mountain. At the top is the life you want, the wealth, the respect, the freedom, and the relationships that are based on reality rather than fantasy. Most men are sitting at the bottom of that mountain, staring at a picture of the summit on their phones. They feel the dopamine of being at the top without ever taking a step. They are hallucinating success. I am asking you to put the phone down and start the climb. It will be uncomfortable at first. Your brain will scream for the quick fix. It will tell you that one look won't hurt. It will try to convince you that you are missing out. But that discomfort is the feeling of your brain beginning to heal. It is the feeling of your receptors resetting their sensitivity. When you stop the leak, you will notice that your senses begin to sharpen. You will find that you have more patience during a long work session. You will find that your social anxiety begins to melt away because you are no longer carrying the secret shame of your private habits. You will start to carry yourself with the quiet confidence of a man who owns himself. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to have an endless supply of energy? They aren't superhuman. They have simply optimized their internal chemistry. They don't waste their fire on ghosts. They save it for the forge. When you desexualize your brain, you are effectively reclaiming hours of lost time and massive amounts of cognitive energy. You are moving from a state of consumption to a state of production. In the world of wealth, production is the only thing that matters. Consumers work for producers. If you are consuming sexualized content, you are working for the people who create it. You are giving them your time, your energy, and your potential. Is that a trade you are willing to keep making? Think about the business you want to start or the career ladder you want to climb. That requires a level of focus that is impossible to maintain if your brain is constantly scanning for the next sexual trigger. You need to become a monomaniac. You need to become someone who is so focused on their mission that the distractions of the world become invisible. This isn't about being a monk. This is about being a professional. A professional athlete doesn't eat junk food before a game because they know it will affect their performance. Your game is life, and your leverage is measured in your bank account and your legacy. Why would you poison your mind with digital junk food? We are moving into a future where focus is the most valuable skill on the planet. Most people have lost it. They can't read a book for 10 minutes without checking their notifications. If you can reclaim your focus, you will have a competitive advantage that no amount of money can buy. You will be able to outwork, outthink, and outlast everyone in your field. But the foundation of that focus is a clean reward system. You have to be able to find satisfaction in the work itself. You have to be able to fall in love with the process of becoming great. As we move forward, I want you to start paying attention to the triggers. Notice the exact moment when your mind starts to wander toward a sexualized thought. Don't judge it, but don't follow it either. Just observe it and realize that it is a physiological response that you have the power to override. You are the captain of this ship. The impulses are just the wind. You can't control the wind, but you can certainly adjust the sails. In the next chapter, we will look at the specific environmental changes you need to make to protect your progress. We are going to build a physical and digital perimeter that makes success inevitable. You are doing the hard work of looking in the mirror. Most men never do. They die with their potential still locked inside them because they were too busy chasing shadows. You are choosing a different path. You are choosing the path of the architect. Let us build something that lasts.
Chapter 3: The Fortress of Focus and the Engineering of Your Environment. Success is not a result of superior willpower. It is a result of superior environment. I have sat in rooms with men who control billions of dollars, and I can tell you one thing for certain. They do not leave their focus to chance. They do not rely on their ability to resist temptation, because they have engineered a life where temptation rarely reaches them. You are currently living in a digital prison that you have mistaken for a playground. Every notification on your phone and every suggestive image on your Explore page is a landmine designed to blow up your productivity. If you want to desexualize your brain, you must first desexualize your surroundings. You cannot expect to heal your mind while you are still standing in the middle of the infection. Think of your attention as a high-value asset. You wouldn't leave $1 million in cash sitting on a park bench and expect it to be there when you return. Yet you leave your attention exposed to the most aggressive algorithms ever created. I want you to take a look at your digital landscape. Does it look like the workspace of a master or the bedroom of a distracted teenager? Most of you are one click away from a total collapse of your discipline at any given moment. You have created a path of least resistance to your own destruction. I remember a young entrepreneur I worked with named Marcus. He had a brilliant software idea, but he couldn't get past the prototype stage. Every time he sat down to code, he would find himself scrolling through a loop of distractions within 20 minutes. We didn't talk about his code. We talked about his desk. His phone was always face up next to his keyboard. His browser had 14 tabs open, and 3 of them were social media feeds filled with hyper-sexualized marketing. He was trying to build a cathedral in the middle of a carnival. We stripped it all away. We moved his phone to another room. We installed blockers that made it physically impossible for him to access those triggers during work hours. Within 3 months, he had his first million in recurring revenue. He didn't become smarter, he just became more protected. Are you brave enough to delete the apps that are feeding your addiction? Most of you will make excuses. You will say you need them for networking or for staying informed. That is a lie your brain tells you to keep its supply of dopamine coming. A lion does not need to network with sheep. A builder does not need to stay informed about the latest digital noise. If an app is causing you to leak your energy, it is an enemy of your future self. I want you to curate your world with the ruthlessness of a museum director. If it doesn't add value to your mission, it doesn't deserve to be in your space. This applies to your physical room as well. Is your environment clean and organized? Does it command respect? You cannot feel like a king if you are living in a mess. Your external environment is a direct reflection of your internal state. When you clear the clutter, you clear the path for your ambition. I want to ask you something. If I walked into your room right now, would I see the habitat of a man who is destined for greatness, or would I see someone who has surrendered to his base instincts? You have to build a fortress. This means creating a sacred space where no digital ghosts are allowed. When you enter this space, your brain should know that it is time for deep work and high-level strategy. There are no triggers here. There are no distractions. There is only you and your craft. By removing the easy escapes, you force your brain to find satisfaction in the work. This is how you reclaim your edge. You make the wrong things difficult and the right things easy. This is the architecture of success. Your phone is either a tool for your empire or a leash for your soul. For most of you, it is a leash. You are being pulled around by your impulses all day long. I want you to turn off every single notification that isn't related to a direct financial transaction or a critical relationship. You don't need to know who liked your photo. You don't need to see the latest viral trend. These are all hooks designed to drag you back into the dopamine loop. When you control your phone, you control your time. When you control your time, you control your life. This is the premium way of living. It is quiet, it is focused, it is intentional. Think about the men who built the world before the internet existed. They had a natural advantage because their environment was naturally desexualized. They had to seek out real connections and real achievements to feel a sense of reward. You have to work twice as hard to get back to that baseline because the world is working twice as hard to keep you stimulated. But this struggle is what will make you elite. While everyone else is drowning in a sea of imagery, you will be the one standing on solid ground. You will be the one with the clarity to see the opportunities that they are missing. You will be the one with the stamina to execute while they are distracted by a screen. As we close this chapter, I want you to perform a digital and physical audit. Identify the top 3 triggers that lead you into a loop of consumption. It might be a specific app. It might be a certain time of day. It might be the fact that you take your phone into the bathroom. Whatever it is, I want you to eliminate it today. Not tomorrow, today. You are building a fortress, and a fortress is only as strong as its weakest point. Close the gates, secure the perimeter. In the next chapter, we will discuss the psychological shifts necessary to maintain this focus over the long term. We are moving from the external to the internal. You are doing well. Stay calm and stay focused. The man you are becoming is worth the sacrifice of the man you used to be.
Chapter 4. The Alchemy of Transmutation and the Primal Spark. Once you have secured your environment, you will notice something uncomfortable. The energy you used to bleed away into a screen is starting to pool inside you. It feels like a restless heat. It feels like a nervous tension that begs for an escape. Most men misinterpret this feeling. They think it is a signal to return to their old habits. They think they are stressed or horny. But as your mentor, I am here to tell you that this is the most valuable raw material on the planet. This is your primal spark. In the world of high-level success, we call this transmutation. It is the ability to take raw sexual energy, the strongest biological force in existence, and redirect it into the forge of your ambitions. If you can master this, you will have a motor that never stops. You will become the man who works while others sleep, not because you have to, but because you have so much internal pressure that you have to create something to let it out. Think about the sheer power of the biological drive to reproduce. It is the reason wars have been fought and empires have been toppled. It is the force that keeps the human race alive. Now, imagine taking that massive reservoir of power and instead of dumping it into a digital void, you plug it into your career. You plug it into your physical health. You plug it into your financial strategy. When you desexualize your brain, you aren't killing your drive. You are finally focusing the lens. A light bulb illuminates a room, but a laser, which is just focused light, can cut through steel. I want your ambition to be a laser. I remember a young athlete I advised who was struggling to make the leap to the professional leagues. He had the talent, but he lacked the dog in him. He was too content, too soft. We looked at his lifestyle and found he was pacifying himself every single morning with adult content. He was effectively emptying the tank before the race even started. I told him to go 30 days without any release. By day 15, he was a different human being. He was aggressive on the field. He was making decisions with a speed he never had before. He wasn't horny, he was hungry. He had transmuted his biological frustration into a competitive edge. I want to ask you a serious question. Have you ever felt truly dangerous? Not in a violent way, but in a way where you know that no obstacle can stand in your path. That feeling only comes when you are brimming with untapped energy. When you are constantly seeking out sexualized distractions, you are keeping yourself in a state of permanent low-level satisfaction. You are like a house cat. You have no reason to hunt. But when you stop the cheap leaks, you become the wolf. Your brain begins to realize that the only way to get a reward is to go out and conquer something in the real world. This is why many of the most successful men in history practiced some form of sexual restraint during their most productive years. They understood that the itch they felt was the fuel for their greatness. They didn't scratch it, they used it to light the fire under their work. Look at your current projects. Are you moving at the pace you want? If the answer is no, it is likely because you are comfortable. And you are comfortable because you are artificially satisfying your deepest drives. You have to learn to sit with the tension. When you feel that surge of restlessness, don't reach for your phone. Reach for a pen. Reach for your weights. Reach for your business plan. Use that tension to drive you through the difficult tasks that you usually procrastinate on. Procrastination is often just a symptom of a brain that isn't hungry enough to eat the hard work. When you are filled with transmuted energy, the hard work becomes the release. The work becomes the way you express the power building up inside you. This is the secret of the elite. We don't find work draining, we find it rewarding because it is the outlet for our vitality. I want you to visualize your energy as a golden liquid. Every time you view sexualized content, you are opening a valve and letting it pour into the gutter. It's gone, you can't get it back. But when you keep that valve closed, the pressure builds. It rises up from your base and fills your chest, your throat, and your mind. It sharpens your speech. It makes your presence heavier. When you walk into a boardroom or a meeting, people can feel that pressure. They don't know what it is, but they respect it. It is the charisma of a man who is in total command of his internal world. This is the premium version of masculinity. It isn't loud or flashy. It is grounded and potent. It is the energy of a producer who knows his worth. Are you willing to be uncomfortable to become unstoppable? Most people choose comfort and end up with a life of quiet desperation. They wonder why they never made it. They blame the economy. They blame their boss. They blame their luck. But the truth is, they gave away their power one click at a time. They traded their legacy for a shadow. You are breaking that cycle. You are choosing to keep your fire. As you go through this week, I want you to pay attention to that rising heat. When it comes, smile. Recognize it as the arrival of your power. Don't be afraid of it. Channel it. Pour it into your sales calls. Pour it into your coding. Pour it into your training. You will find that you have a gear you didn't know existed. You will find that you can focus for hours on end without getting tired. This is the reward of the reclamation. In the next chapter, we are going to discuss the flat line and the psychological hurdles that come when your brain tries to trick you back into your old ways. We will talk about how to navigate the desert before you reach the oasis. You have started the engine. Now we must learn to steer the vehicle. You are becoming a master of yourself, and that is the first step to becoming a master of the world. Stay the course. The view from the top is worth every bit of the climb.
Chapter 5. The Desert of the Flat Line and the Shadow of Doubt. Just as you begin to feel the surge of new energy, the universe will test your resolve with a profound and heavy silence. In the world of neurological recovery, we call this the flat line. It is a period where your high-intensity dopamine spikes are gone, but your brain has not yet fully repaired its ability to enjoy the subtle rewards of real life. You might wake up one morning feeling completely unmotivated, physically exhausted, and emotionally numb. This is the moment where most men fail. They mistake this healing process for a permanent loss of their drive. They think they have broken their libido or lost their edge. They feel like a ghost in their own skin. But as your mentor, I need you to understand that this is the most critical phase of your transformation. The desert is not where you die. It is where the old version of you is finally buried, so the new version can be born. Think of your brain like a construction site. To build a skyscraper, you first have to dig a very deep and very messy hole. During the flat line, your brain is doing maintenance in the dark. It is down-regulating receptors and rebalancing neurochemistry that has been skewed for years. It is a biological reset. I remember a high-level real estate developer I advised, named David.
He had reached a point where he was closing multi-million-dollar deals, but he felt nothing. No joy, no pride, just a hollow void. When he committed to desexualizing his brain, he hit the flat line hard in the 3rd week. He came to me panicked, saying his ambition had vanished and he felt flat. I told him to look at his bank account and his blueprints. I told him that the feeling of motivation is a luxury, but the discipline of the mission is a necessity. He had to learn to operate on autopilot while his brain was in the shop for repairs. He stayed the course, and 2 weeks later, the fog lifted. For the first time in a decade, he felt a genuine electric spark of excitement just from looking at a new site plan. His brain had finally learned to taste the wine again because he had stopped burning his tongue with acid. Are you prepared to work when you feel absolutely nothing? This is the true test of the millionaire mindset. Anyone can be productive when they are inspired and riding a wave of dopamine, but the elite are defined by what they do in the vacuum. When the feel-good chemicals are absent, your character is all that remains. I want you to treat this period like a professional athlete treats an injury. You don't stop training, you adjust the load. You stick to the schedule, you eat the right food, you show up at the office, you make the calls, you don't wait for a feeling to tell you it's okay to move, you move because you said you would. This is how you develop a level of grit that your competitors, who are still slaves to their moods, will never possess. I want to ask you, who are you when the lights go out? When the digital validation is gone and the temporary highs are out of reach, what is left? The flat line forces you to confront the vacuum you have been filling with distractions. It reveals the cracks in your foundation. Perhaps you realize you don't actually like your current business, or you've been neglecting your real-world relationships. Use this silence to audit your life. Instead of running back to a screen to numbing the boredom, sit with it. Boredom is the precursor to creativity. It is the soil from which the next big idea grows. If you never allow yourself to be bored, you will never allow yourself to be brilliant. Understand that the flat line is a sign of progress. It means the medicine is working. Your brain is desperately trying to bait you into returning to your old habits by making life feel gray and dull. It wants that fix. It is a withdrawal symptom, no different from a drug addict's tremors. When you feel that heaviness, I want you to smile. It is the sound of your addiction dying. It is the smell of the old, weak version of you burning away. Most men are terrified of this gray space. They would rather be stimulated and miserable than bored and healing. But you are not most men. You are an architect. You know that the foundation must set before you can build the penthouse. During this phase, your social skills might feel awkward, your confidence might dip, you might feel a temporary lack of interest in the opposite sex. This is normal. Your system is rebooting. Do not try to test yourself to see if everything still works. That is just a trap your brain sets to get you to click. Trust the biology. Trust the process. I want you to double down on your physical habits during this time. Lift heavier, run longer, drink more water. Give your body a different kind of intensity to process. The physical strain will help you anchor while your mind is in flux. You are in the middle of the ocean and the shore you left is out of sight, but the new continent is waiting just over the horizon. This journey isn't a straight line up. It is a series of plateaus and dips. The flat line is the ultimate plateau. If you can cross this desert without turning back, you will emerge with a clarity of thought that is almost supernatural. You will find that your baseline level of happiness begins to rise. You will find beauty in the mundane.
a conversation with a stranger, a sunset, a well-executed spreadsheet, these things will start to give you a deep, stable satisfaction that no digital image could ever provide. You are moving from a life of peaks and valleys to a life of steady, unstoppable growth. As we conclude this chapter, I want you to make a pact with yourself. Decide right now that no matter how flat or bored you feel in the coming days, you will not break the protocol. You will not negotiate with your weakness. You will accept the grayness as the price of your future color. You are almost through the hardest part. The man who can survive the silence is the man who can eventually command the world. In the next chapter, we will discuss how to handle social dynamics and the new magnetism you will begin to project as you emerge from the fog. Your light is coming back, and it will be brighter than ever before.
Chapter 6. The Magnetism of the Void and the Power of Presence. As you emerge from the desert of the flatline, something subtle yet profound begins to happen. You will notice it first in the eyes of others. When you walk into a room, people will linger on you a split second longer than they used to. When you speak, the room will grow slightly quieter. This is not magic. This is the magnetism of a man who no longer leaks his life force. By desexualizing your brain, you have created a vacuum where there used to be noise. In a world where every man is thirsty, distracted, and projecting a desperate need for validation, your lack of need becomes a gravitational pull. You have moved from being a hunter of shadows to being a mountain that stands still. And the world, strangely, begins to move toward the mountain. Think about the most powerful men you know. They aren't the ones shouting for attention or constantly scanning the room for the next thrill.
I want you to observe your conversations this week. Notice how much more information you can process when your brain isn't busy scanning for sexual subtext. You will hear the nuances in a business partner's voice. You will spot the hidden opportunities in a casual remark. Your intuition, which has been buried under a layer of digital filth, will begin to scream at you again. This is your gut feeling, and it is one of your most valuable business assets. Successful men make decisions based on a clarity that others can't see. That clarity is the direct result of a decluttered mind. You are reclaiming the bandwidth that you used to waste on fantasies and using it to decode the world around you. How would your life change if you were the most composed person in every room? Composition is the hallmark of the elite. While others are reacting to every trend, every notification, and every impulse, you remain centered. You are the eye of the storm. This composure allows you to negotiate from a position of strength. You can wait longer than your opponent. You can stay silent when others feel the need to fill the gap with nervous chatter. You have found the power in the void. By refusing to engage with the cheap, sexualized noise of the culture, you have set yourself apart as a man of substance. You are becoming a premium individual in a world of commodity men. In this stage of your journey, you might feel a sense of loneliness. You will look at your old friends and realize they are still stuck in the loop. They are still talking about the same distractions, chasing the same ghosts. This is the price of the upgrade. You cannot go to the next level carrying people who are committed to staying at the bottom. I want you to embrace this solitude. It is the training ground for your leadership. Use this time to refine your vision.
The magnetism you are developing will eventually attract a new circle of peers, men and women who operate at your new frequency. But for now, enjoy the silence. It is the sound of your own power growing. As we finish this chapter, I want you to practice the power of the pause. Before you speak, before you react, and before you click, take one full breath. Feel the stillness in your center. Remind yourself that you are the architect, not the building. You are in control of the energy you project. In the next chapter, we will discuss the long game, how to maintain this state for years, not just weeks, and how to turn this temporary discipline into a permanent lifestyle of wealth and influence. You have moved past the hard part. Now we learn to rule.
Chapter 7. The Architecture of the Long Game and the Death of the Impulse. Many men treat self-improvement like a sprint. They exert massive amounts of energy for a few weeks, see some initial results, and then slowly slide back into their old, comfortable rhythms. But a million-dollar empire is not built on a sprint. It is built on a decade of consistency. To truly desexualize your brain and unlock your natural motivation, you must move beyond the phase of trying and enter the phase of being. You are not a man who is quitting a habit. You are a man who simply does not participate in the digital degradation of his own mind. This is the shift from discipline to identity. When something is part of your identity, it requires zero willpower to maintain. A vegan doesn't wake up every morning and struggle not to eat a steak. They simply don't see it as food. You must reach a point where you don't see sexualized digital content as entertainment. You see it as poison. Think about the long-term ROI of your attention. If you spend just 30 minutes a day on mindless sexualized scrolling, that adds up to over 7 days a year of pure wasted potential. In 10 years, you have given away nearly 3 months of your life to a glowing rectangle that gave you nothing in return but a hollow feeling and a foggy brain. Imagine what you could build with an extra 3 months of peak performance focus. I remember an investor I knew named Julian who was obsessed with compounding interest. He applied it to everything: his money, his workouts, and his mind. He told me most men are bankrupted by their micro decisions. He understood that the small, impulsive click at 11 p.m. was a withdrawal from his future freedom. He treated his focus like a high-yield savings account. Every time he chose the hard path of focus over the easy path of distraction, he was depositing into his future status. Today, he is retired at 40, while his peers are still grinding away, wondering why they feel so burnt out. I want to ask you, what is your why for the next 10 years? If your goals are small, your impulses will always win. If your goal is just to pay the bills, a hit of dopamine will always feel more rewarding than working. But if your goal is to change your family's zip code, to build a brand that outlasts you, or to reach a level of physical and mental mastery that 99% of men will never see, then the impulse loses its grip. Your vision must be so large that the distraction looks pathetic in comparison. When you have a massive why, you develop a natural immunity to the cheap. You start to value your time at $1,000 an hour, then $10,000. When you value your time that highly, you realize you literally cannot afford to spend it on pixels. Are you playing the finite game or the infinite game? The finite game is about the quick win, the temporary high, and the immediate release. The infinite game is about the expansion of your potential and the refinement of your soul. Desexualizing your brain is an infinite game. It is a commitment to a higher standard of existence. You will face moments where the impulse returns with a vengeance. It might be during a period of high stress or intense loneliness. In those moments, I want you to use the 10-year lens. Ask yourself, will the man I am 10 years from now thank me for this decision, or will he curse me for slowing down his progress? This simple mental hack breaks the loop of the immediate and forces you to re-engage your prefrontal cortex. You are the CEO of your life, Stop acting like an unpaid intern of your instincts. I want you to audit your social circle again, but this time through the lens of longevity. Are the people around you playing the long game? If your friends are constantly sharing sexualized memes or talking about the latest digital trends, they are anchors dragging you down. You don't have to cut them off aggressively, but you must realize that you are outgrowing the container they live in. Seek out mentors and peers who are obsessed with growth, legacy, and impact. When you surround yourself with men who are building empires, the topic of distraction rarely even comes up. The conversation shifts from "what are you watching" to "what are you building?" This environment makes the long game feel natural. You start to compete on who can be the most focused and the most disciplined. How much of your current personality is just a collection of coping mechanisms for boredom and stress? Many men think they have a high drive, but they actually just have a low tolerance for silence. They use sexualized content to numb the anxiety of not being where they want to be in life. But that anxiety is a gift. It's your soul telling you that you are capable of more. When you stop numbing it, the anxiety turns into fuel. It turns into a restless ambition that pushes you to make the extra call, stay the extra hour, and run the extra mile. This is the alchemy we discussed, turned into a permanent lifestyle. You learn to crave the stress of growth because you know it leads to a higher version of yourself. As we wrap up this chapter, I want you to design your ideal day 5 years from now. Don't think about the money yet. Think about your state of mind. Imagine waking up with a brain that is completely clear, a body that is vibrant with energy, and a sense of purpose that is unshakable. That version of you exists in the future, and he is waiting for you to arrive. Every time you choose the long game over the short-term impulse, you are closing the gap between you and him. In the next chapter, we will discuss the legacy mindset, how to use your reclaimed energy to impact those around you and leave a mark on the world. You are no longer just a student. You are becoming a leader.
Chapter 8: The Legacy Mindset and the Commander's Intent. Most men live for themselves, and that is exactly why they stay small. When your only motivation is your own comfort or your own temporary pleasure, your brain will always choose the path of least resistance. It will choose the screen, the shortcut, and the dopamine hit. But when you shift your perspective to legacy, to the people who depend on you and the mark you will leave on this earth, your discipline becomes a duty. Desexualizing your brain is no longer just a personal project. It is the prerequisite for becoming a leader of men and a provider for a dynasty. A man who cannot lead himself out of a digital addiction can never lead a company, a family, or a movement. To unlock your ultimate motivation, you must find a purpose that is larger than your own skin. Think about the people in your life right now, your parents, your future children, the employees you haven't hired yet. They are all waiting for the version of you that is fully present and fully charged. When you leak your energy into a screen, you are stealing from them. You are giving them a diluted, distracted, and tired version of yourself. I remember a CEO I coached named Anthony. He had all the money in the world, but his relationships were crumbling. He was physically there, but mentally he was always somewhere else, usually chasing the next digital high. I asked him, if your son grows up to be exactly like you are right now, would you be proud or terrified? That question hit him like a physical blow. He realized that his private habits were shaping his public legacy. He cleaned up his mind not for himself, but for the boy who was watching his every move. Today, his business has tripled, but more importantly, his presence is undeniable. He is the anchor of his family. I want to ask you, what do you want to be remembered for? Do you want to be remembered as a consumer who lived in a blur of pixels and missed opportunities? Or do you want to be the man who stood for something? The commander's intent is a military concept where everyone knows the ultimate goal, even if the plan changes. Your intent should be to become a pillar of strength. This requires a level of mental clarity that is impossible to achieve if you are constantly poisoning your reward system. When you move through the world with a desexualized brain, you aren't just thinking about the next hour, you are thinking about the next generation. This long-term thinking is the hallmark of the ultra-wealthy. We don't trade our time for pennies, and we don't trade our focus for flashes of light. We invest in things that grow. How would your decision-making change if you knew that every thought you had was being recorded for your descendants to study? It sounds extreme, but that is the level of intentionality required for true greatness. Most men are sloppy with their minds. They let any thought, any image, and any impulse walk through the front door of their consciousness. But you are a gatekeeper. You understand that your mind is the most sacred space you own. By protecting it from hypersexualization, you are preserving the integrity of your legacy. You are ensuring that when you speak, your words have weight. When you make a promise, it is backed by a brain that isn't fractured by addiction. This is the noble path. It is a life of high standards and even higher rewards. I want you to look at your work as a form of service. Whether you are building an app, selling a product, or managing a team, you are contributing to the world. When you are operating at peak capacity, unburdened by digital noise, the quality of your contribution skyrockets. You solve problems faster. You see connections others miss. You become a value creator in a world of value extractors. This is how you attract true wealth. Money follows value, and value follows focus. If you can stay focused on your mission while everyone else is distracted by the latest scandal or the newest viral image, you will inevitably rise to the top. Your legacy is built in the quiet moments where you choose the work over the distraction. It is built every time you say no to a cheap impulse so you can say yes to a grand vision. Are you ready to carry the weight of being a role model? Whether you like it or not, people are watching you. Your younger brothers, your cousins, your peers. They see the change in your eyes. They see the way you carry yourself. By reclaiming your mind, you are giving them permission to do the same. You are leading by example. This is the highest form of leadership. You don't need to give a speech, you just need to exist as a testament to what is possible when a man takes control of his own biology. You are becoming a beacon of reality in a world of illusions. This responsibility will give you a level of motivation that no goal ever could. You aren't just doing it for the money anymore. You are doing it because the world needs men who are awake. As we move toward the final chapter, I want you to reflect on the progress you've made. You have secured your environment, mastered transmutation, survived the flatline, and developed a magnetic presence. You are now looking at life through the lens of legacy. You are no longer a boy playing with toys. You are a man building a kingdom. In the next and final chapter, we will bring everything together and discuss the ultimate state of flow, where your ambition and your reality become one. We will end this journey with a blueprint for your permanent success. You have the fire. Now let's build the empire.
Chapter 9. The Sovereign Mind and the Ultimate State of Flow. You have reached the final threshold. We have traveled from the initial ache of wasted potential through the desert of the flatline and into the high-altitude clarity of a legacy-driven life. Now, we arrive at the ultimate destination, the state of the sovereign mind. This is the stage where you no longer have to fight your impulses, because your impulses have finally learned to follow your lead. When you desexualize your brain, you don't just unlock motivation, you become motivation. You enter a state of flow so profound that the boundary between your ambition and your reality begins to dissolve. You are no longer chasing $1 million or a high-status life. You are simply existing at the frequency that attracts those things automatically. Think about the sheer efficiency of a mind that is no longer divided against itself. Most men spend 80% of their mental energy negotiating with their weaknesses. They want to work, but a part of them wants to scroll. They want to grow, but a part of them wants to hide in a digital fantasy. This internal friction is what causes burnout and exhaustion. But you have eliminated the friction. By removing the hypersexualized noise, you have streamlined your internal engine. I remember a mentor of mine, a man who controlled a global shipping empire, who told me, "The secret to wealth is not working harder than everyone else, it is being more present than everyone else." He moved through life with a calm, predatory focus. He wasn't distracted by the flashes and sirens of the modern world. He was sovereign. He owned his eyes, he owned his thoughts, and therefore he owned his results.
I want to ask you, can you feel the silence in your mind now? That silence is your greatest competitive advantage. In an economy built on stealing attention, a man who cannot be distracted is a god among mortals. You can sit in a room for 4 hours and solve a problem that would take a distracted man 4 weeks. You can look at a market crash and see the opportunity while others are paralyzed by the latest viral fear. This is the ultimate state of flow. It is a state of hyper-competence where your work becomes an extension of your being. You aren't grinding, you are expressing your power. This is the state where true wealth is created, not through frantic effort, but through the precise application of a focused mind. How does it feel to be the master of your own biology? You have reclaimed the fire that most men throw away for free. You have proven that you are not a biological accident or a slave to an algorithm. You are a creator. As you move forward from this book, the world will try to pull you back. It will offer you new apps, new distractions, and more sophisticated ways to leak your energy. But you will look at these things and feel nothing but a calm, detached observation. You have seen behind the curtain. You know that the hit they are selling is just a high-interest loan on your future. You are a sovereign. You do not trade your kingdom for a trinket. I want to congratulate you. Most people who start a journey of self-mastery quit the moment it gets uncomfortable. They hit the flat line and they run back to the safety of their old cages. But you stayed. You faced the silence, you endured the boredom, and you redirected your heat into your craft. You are now part of a very small percentage of men who actually own themselves. This is the foundation of all true success. From this point on, every business strategy you learn, every investment you make, and every relationship you build will be 10 times more effective because you are bringing a whole, undivided man to the table. You are no longer a half-man, distracted by ghosts. You are a titan. I want to thank you for allowing me to be your mentor through these chapters. It has been my honor to watch you reclaim your edge. But remember, the work never truly ends. It only becomes more refined. Keep your environment clean. Keep your mission large. Keep your fire focused. The life you dreamed of in the first chapter is no longer a dream. It is a blueprint that you are currently executing. You have the discipline, you have the energy, and now you have the clarity. The world is waiting for what you are about to build. Do not keep it waiting any longer. Go out there and claim the legacy that belongs to a man of your caliber. I am proud of you. I am excited for you, and I will see you at the top. You have unlocked the natural motivation that was always there, buried under the noise. Now, let that motivation drive you to the stars. Your time is now. Your mind is sovereign. Your life is yours to command.